And we're live. I have with me here a very special guest for the Manchester United versus Crystal Palace preview. If you know what happened before, you will laugh how we're laughing now. We have Nick Philpott from the Red and Blue Review, the biggest Crystal Palace podcast out there. Them are doing some smashing stuff. Go check them out. The links will be in the description below, and obviously we'll add them on Twitter and tweet them. So Nick, how you doing?
All good. Thank you again.
Yeah, so we're just gonna get straight into it. Your thoughts on the season for Crystal Palace? Obviously, it's gonna be very different to trying to fight for the Champions League. What are your thoughts on this season for Crystal Palace?
Palace going for the Champions League? I don't think so. Don't forget, as I've said, we live in two different worlds. Man United and Crystal Palace. Whilst we play in the same division, we don't play in the same division. We play in two different parts of the division. Man United's expectations would always be Champions League, Premier League title, and so on and so forth. Crystal Palace don't play in that world. Our starting point every season, and we're about to enter our 8th consecutive season in the Premier League. Our starting point is always relegation safety. Always relegation safety. Once we get to the 40-point scenario, then off we go. Okay, then we can see how far up the division we can play and how many points we can gain. But my dream as a human being, I've been on this planet for 56 years. My dream as a human being would be to see, for my wife to say, Nick, don't forget your passport. Palace are going on a European tour. It's never happened. And before I die, I want to be able to say I saw Palace play in Europe. But
let's hope so.
Don't forget, we are living in different worlds because of your fan base, the size of your club, against our fan base and the size of our club. And you know what? We're quite happy in our little world.
I can tell. So, for me personally, our two biggest bogey teams are Liverpool and Crystal Palace. For me, I can't lie. I think when we play Crystal Palace home or away, normally you always give us a good battle. Why do you think that is? Because of obviously your stadium at Selhurst Park is very intimidating. Why do you think that's so? Why do you think we struggle against you when we play against you guys?
Well, do you know what? It's quite an interesting thing. We don't have a great record against Man United. In fact, I think it was only a couple of seasons ago, 2 or 3 seasons ago, we got our first ever victory in the top flight against you. Okay, yeah. Last season, the same fixture last season at Old Trafford. Patrick Van Aanholt scoring the winner, Jordan Ayew walking through what was a weakened defence at Man United.
Unfortunately.
But your point about Selhurst Park being an intimidating stadium, okay, it is because the ferocity of the fan base and the close proximity of the fan base to the pitch, okay. And I know that all clubs that come there find it intimidating. It's a well-known fact that the Palace home fans are some of the noisiest in the division. Maybe that will probably be eclipsed this year with the reintroduction of Leeds United back into the Premier League. But it is an intimidating atmosphere, and that's what we try to create. We're actually physically trying to create it. We're, as a collective, we have a group of fans that want to be vocal, especially at home, but we're also just as vocal away.
Yeah. So what do you think will be the starting lineup for Crystal Palace versus Manchester United? Obviously, I've been listening to your show. I really enjoyed your show last night. And there's a lot of injuries. So just touch on the injuries and what would be the starting lineup for.
Okay, well, let's do the injuries first, okay? Because the injury list I have written down in front of me would actually grace any lower Premier League team. Think about your Southampton, your Burnleys, and all the teams down in the bottom half of the league. The players that I'm about to read out to you are predominantly international players, and they're all out for our fixture against Man United. Okay, so James Tompkins, centre-half, bought from West Ham for 10 million quid. Great player. Gary Cahill, former England international, out injured.
Champions League winner.
Absolutely that. Mamadou Sakho, okay, French international. Patrick Van Aanholt, Dutch international. Our new signing that we've just bought from West Brom, Nathan Ferguson, England under-21 international, he's out injured. Belgium international, Christian Benteke, he's out injured. And Connor Wickham, who we call the glass man, he's always injured. And guess what? is injured again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 regulars in our first team all out injured. So if Man United have got an opportunity to kick their seasons off for a good 3 points, it'll be there, because that's the Tompkins, Cahill, Sacco and Van Arnholt and the new signing Ferguson would have been our starting back line. So we're actually starting the season with a completely different back line. So you have a great opportunity because of the injury list. For that reason, my starting lineup is as follows. Guaita in goal. Guaita in goal. Now, Guaita, I believe, should be pushing your goalkeeper for the Spanish goalkeeper's position, but I think you and I probably disagree on that. Mitchell, Checker Kouate, Scott down across the back. Kouate is a holding midfield player, but he's been playing quite a lot. He used to play for West Ham in the centre of defence, so he's quite comfortable there with Joel Ward on the right. Okay, in front of them, Jairo Riedewald, who is a Dutch international, with James MacArthur, both holding. On the wings, we'll have Wilfried Zaha, if he's still at the club. Okay, nobody's come in for him in this window, although he is up for sale. Nobody's come in. Nobody's put matched our valuation of him. Jordan Ayew on the other side, and in front of those two, okay, our brand new signing, a very exciting talent from QPR, Brizi Eze, okay, and in front of him, and a warm welcome back to Michy Batshuayi. Michy Batshuayi has come back to Sellers from Chelsea on loan. The big difference with Michy Batshuayi signing this time from the time he joined us on loan 2 seasons ago was this time we have him on a option to buy at the end of the season. So if he's successful, if he scores bangs in a few goals, hopefully against Man United during the season, okay, then we will buy him at the end of the season. So once again, Guaita, Mitchell, Kouate, Dan, Ward, Zaha, Riedewald, MacArthur, Ayew, Brizi Eze and Michy Batshuayi is my predicted starting lineup.
I think that's a decent line. I think the front four is exciting to watch, especially Eze. Obviously, being a Nigerian myself, I know a lot about him. Eze, obviously, everyone knows about Wilfried Zaha in the Premier League, and obviously Michy Batshuayi, who has a lot of movement and is actually a world class finisher in my opinion. Just doesn't get enough games. For me, obviously, we have a lot of world class. When I say world class, we have a lot of stars and talents in our squad. So obviously David De Gea in goal, who is better than Guaita. Right back, your boy Wan-Bissaka. Centre half would be Lindelof and Maguire, I believe. Left back will probably be Luke Shaw. Holding midfielder, we'll probably start with holding midfielder of Matic, Pogba, and just in front of him, the star man Bruno Fernandes. I'll ask you about Bruno Fernandes in a second. On the left, another one, England star boys, Rashford. On the right, Greenwood, and up front, Anthony Martial. So I just wanted to ask you quickly about Bruno Fernandes. What are your thoughts about Bruno Fernandes as a player?
I think he's, well, we all know he's a world-class talent, but and he would grace most Premier League teams. I think he would probably get maybe 2 teams that he wouldn't get into in the Premier League. He's a class player. I don't think he had the best of starts to his Man United career, but he grew into his role, and he grew into his role because of his talent. I don't think, him and Pogba, I don't think are your biggest threats, if I'm honest with you. To me, there's 2 interesting ones there. Rashford, I want Rashford playing for Palace, okay? Quality.
Maybe when he's 37.
Yeah, thank you. And Greenwood. Now, we all know what's happened with Greenwood recently. I think this will be, he's literally at a crossroads, okay? Because of what happened to him very recently, whilst away on international duty, I think Greenwood, it could go either way for him. And I do want to touch on the Wan-Bissaka thing in a minute as well. But the Greenwood thing is the interesting one. He is, to me, he's a great player. He's a quality player, but he's not a world-class player. I view him, with what's happened recently, with the early days of Paul Gascoigne. Paul Gascoigne was a imperious talent. Nathan Greenwood, ditto. The trouble with Paul Gascoigne, what happened off the pitch became as important with what's going on the pitch. I just hope somebody at Man United has got hold of Greenwood and said, right, you've cocked up, boy. Okay, you are potentially ruining your career. Okay, with what your off-field antic. Okay, yes, you're young. Yes, you've made an error. Yes, you're entitled to make a mistake because you're only a kid. Okay, but if you don't sort it out, you could easily go down the path of Paul Gascoigne. Okay, and your off-field antics could be much worse than how successful you are on the pitch. But if you can get that addressed, I think what you have there in Greenwood and what England have there, and I'm an England person, I'm an England fan, I'm England born and bred, I think we have a prestigious talent. Okay, and I just hope somebody at Man United have got hold of him, either slapped him around the back of the neck and said, "Oi, sort yourself out," or done gone the other way, put their arm and said, "Look, you know, come on, you're better than this. Okay, you don't need to do what you made an error. Now you've got to learn from it." I would like to also touch, if you don't mind, on my man Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Of course.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka, born 4 miles from where I'm sitting right now, just around the corner from where I live. Croydon man, born and bred. Okay, his family are from Croydon, obviously not originally, but his family are, to the best of my knowledge, still live in Croydon, around the corner from where I am. I think I speak for most of the Palace fan base. We think we got good money for him. Okay, 50 million quid is good money. However, what you have there is, and I've seen Ashley Cole as a young trainee come through Palace. Okay, when he was on loan from Chelsea. I've seen Kenny Sampson in his early days come through Palace. So we've had some very good fullbacks. What you have there, in my opinion, is a player better than any of those. Better than Kenny Sampson. Okay, better than Ashley Cole. Okay, I've seen this boy. He only broke into the Palace first team because of an injury crisis a few seasons ago. He came in and he played against, in his first games, Man United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham, all the top 6 basically, and not a player got past him. Not a player in the top 6 got past him. He then went on to play whatever it was, 35 games for Palace last season before you signed him. Okay, and again, his figures weren't just the best at Palace. His stats weren't just the best in the Premier League. His stats were the best in Europe.
Yeah.
What you have got there is a supreme little player. Okay, and every Palace fan wanted him to go to a bigger club and be developed because he's got one flaw in his game, and the flaw in his game is his attacking and crossing. Okay, we're hoping that he went to Man United and it's being coached into him to attack the byline and with a quality product into the box for somebody like Rashford to get on the end of. Okay, that's what we want as Palace fans. We bear no malice. We send him big love from South London because he's a South London boy, born and bred. Okay, and we want him to succeed at Man United because he deserves everything he gets.
Somebody else who I want to succeed in your team actually is Abricha Eze. Plays probably on the wing, attacking mid, one of the 4 positions. How excited are you to sign one of the best young talents in the Championship, and obviously one of the best young talents in England, I believe? How excited are you also to bring down the average age of that old aging squad? Because Roy Hodgson likes a lot of his old
again,
players.
you're right to highlight it. Last season, our average age was 28 and a half years old. Okay, we were the eldest squad in the Premier League. And don't forget that also now includes Wilfried Zaha, who's approaching 28. Okay, so we are an aging squad with our additions of young Ferguson from West Brom, Abricha Eze, okay, and even Missy Batshuayi to a degree. And we're not finished yet. We've got a couple of other deals potentially going on in the background. As far as Eze is concerned, he was my pick right from the beginning of the transfer window. If we could go and get one person, pluck one out of the Championship, who I think has a fantastic future ahead of him, okay, it's that guy there. As you say, is he a Nigerian international, did you say?
Yeah. No, he's Nigerian, but he's playing for England at the moment. So.
I was going to say, because he was due to be going away on England under-21 duty only last week. He didn't go because he picked up a knock in training at Selhurst. Okay, but he's if he starts against Man United, I am so excited to see him. It will be at the expense of Andros Townsend. Andros Townsend, again, he's waning in his career a little bit. He didn't have the best of seasons last year. He's concentrating an awful lot more on his press work. He's working for Talk Sport now. Okay. Unfortunately, it's actually having a bearing on the quality of his performance. I think a British Eze will come in, take his place. I hope he hits the ground running. He just needs to bang in a couple of early goals to sort his confidence out. Can he cut it at next level up? Roy Hodgson believes so. He was talking about it in his press conference only yesterday. There's not a great jump from the top end of the Championship to the lower end of the Premier League, which is where we live. Okay, and we're hoping what we've got there is we've got this little gem for the future.
He is a gem. I think the way he dribbles and the way he moves, his work rate's infectious as well. It will take a lot of pressure away from Wilfred Zaha. Because obviously Premier League clubs, every time I look at a Premier League club or speak to a Premier League fan, we always say that Palace is basically a one-man team, and that is the one man, which is Wilfred Zaha. So the introduction of him and Batshuayi, I feel like it would do well for you guys this season. But just moving on to the managers, what are your thoughts on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and what are your thoughts on, as you guys like to call it, the old man Roy?
Okay, so let's do him first. Let's do Roy Hodgson first. He is the senior elderly statesman of the Premier League, by far the eldest manager ever to have graced the Premier League. I believe he's now, is he 72? He's 72. He's in the last year of his contract with Palace. As a Palace fan base, we are very surprised he wasn't replaced at the end of last season. We tailed off the end of last season, 7 defeats on the trot. Okay, no other manager in the Palace history has ever got away with 7 on the trot defeats. Okay, we were safe by Christmas. We were expecting to make a push on to Europe, towards the European spots in the back end of we normally play better in our back end of the league or the back end of the season. This year, 7 or 8 on the trot, and it wasn't acceptable. The style of football wasn't acceptable. What worried us more than anything else was if you look towards the touchline, you saw this poor old boy, okay, on the touchline with no idea, didn't know what to do. He had no plan B. He was like your mad uncle sitting around your Christmas table. You only see him at Christmas, and that's what he was like in the back end of the season. I'm being disrespectful to a guy that loves Crystal Palace through and through. He played for Crystal Palace. He's born in South London. His team would be Crystal Palace if he was a supporter. But I don't mean it in a disrespect. We just think that he'd run out of ideas. His time, a bit like it. If you remember when he was England manager, towards the end of his tenure as England manager, he was bereft of ideas. Well, that's what we got, because he had such a horrific injury list towards the end of the season, and so he had nothing to fall back on. No plan B available. Well, now, even with our horrific injury list that we just discussed, at least we had some alternatives with the introduction of Eze, with the introduction of Batshuayi, and so on and so forth. At least, so I'm hoping he'll be a little bit more involved. He was frustrated that we didn't get our targets in the last window. Okay, all of a sudden we're starting to get our premium targets that we're looking for, and Eze being one of them. But we needed to address the striker situation. Benteke was not scoring goals. Wickham was always injured. Jordan Ayew was our top scorer last year, 9 goals for the season. Not acceptable. Not acceptable. So he had very little to work with. Okay, and I'll give him that. And he looked lost. I hope he has a successful final year of his contract and he enjoys his retirement, or maybe we even move him upstairs and bring in a younger talent like a Sean Dyche or something like that to work with Roy Hodgson, or Roy Hodgson being director of football, something like that. So that's Roy Hodgson. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Now, what a player that was! What a supreme talent he was as a player. I loved watching him play. He would grace any football pitch, and he really did. And I'm proud to say that I saw him play. Now, when he got appointed as Man United manager, this is my own personal thoughts, okay? So please don't be offended, any Man United fan. My own personal thoughts are, is it a little bit too early? What's he actually achieved in management to take on such the hot seat at Man United? It's an enormous job. And I think when he first took over, my concerns were probably well warranted. All of a sudden, something clicked. I don't know what it was. No idea what it was. For the back end of the season, guys, you were a formidable outfit. Okay, being well run. Okay, and you pushed, and you pushed, and you pushed, and he's proving me wrong. Okay, I'm delighted to say I'm proving wrong because I want him to be as successful as a manager as he was as a player. I just think he's a great talent. Okay, I hope he's got the right backroom staff, keeping his feet on the ground and advising him correctly. By the look of it,
Yeah.
he has. Okay, I think, I'm still not sure that he's strong enough to take you on to a Premier League winning position. You're certainly going to be in contention this season, especially with your current squad of players and your potential signings. But has he got the cutting edge to take you that last step? That
I
that
know.
That's my worry. If he was a Klopp, if he was one of the top coaches, if he dare I say, I know you dirty words in Man United eyes, but even a Mourinho, he would have that winning mentality to take you that one step to beat your Liverpools, to beat your Man Cities. Has Solskjaer got it, Man United fans? I'm not so sure.
Well, I agree. I really agree. I think with me, I'm very vocal on this channel about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I don't really rate him as a manager. I feel like he's done well, but I just feel like for him to challenge Klopp and Pep, it's going to take a lot for him to do. Even if you sign Messi and all these other players, I still don't think he will be able to do it because they're winning managers. They've been winning all the way through their career, especially Pep Guardiola. He's like a machine.
Yeah.
But I have to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer his credit. Actually, I feel like he's had a good season last year, getting us into third place. After when we lost against Palace, I wanted them gone from there. Like the time we lost last season against Palace, I think it was the second or third game. I wanted them gone from there because from there it just turned into back game after game of bad news. Then obviously Bruno Fernandes came in and our luck changed. And when we did beat you at Selhurst Park, we were playing better football, more exciting football, better players. He looks better. But like you said, for us to win the Premier League, and that's what Manchester United fans want, we need a better manager. And just to bring it on to old man Roy, my problem with Roy Hodgson is he's like the Ian Holloways, the Neil Kerbisleys, Alan Pardew's. I just want them kicked out of English football for good because they're very negative. Palace have a very good team, as I've alluded to before. They have a very, very good team. I rate Palace very, very highly. The defensive structure is perfect. You don't need to sort out the defense. But going forward, you guys have Townsend, you guys had Balassi before, you guys have had Benteke, you guys have had decent attacking options. But because you're so defensive, it doesn't bring out the best of these guys. And I feel like the way Roy Hodgson has been playing, he's playing that since 2011 at Liverpool. 2 banks of 4, get a corner, get a free kick or whatever. But no, you actually have players that can actually play. I like the look of MacArthur. I don't know where McCarthy is, but I like the look of MacArthur. Ride the world in midfield as well. You guys actually have a lot of good footballers. But the manager, I feel like, is holding you back. And if I was you guys, like you already said, I'll go for like an Eddie Howe, maybe not Sean Dyche, but Eddie Howe type manager. These type of young up and coming managers that like to attack and will actually show Palace fans a bit of excitement next season. Because Selhurst Park's rocking and going at a team constantly, mate, it'll be a scary place to go. So Roy Hodgson for me, he needs to leave Palace. But I get what you're saying. It's like with our manager. It's a lot of sentiment. Like the reason why I feel like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer kept his job when we were like 14th was because he is a Manchester United legend, and I feel like that's the same with Roy Hodgson.
Interesting to hear you say about Eddie Howe. Do you know what? Eddie Howe and Sean Dyche are the two that are linked with the Palace job, and the one manager the Palace fan base didn't want was Eddie Howe out of the two. And the reason for that is when he left Bournemouth a few years ago and he went up to Burnley, and he was about to leave Burnley, he was actually interviewed for the Palace job at that time and turned us down to go back to Bournemouth. Now, for that reason, because he turned us down, the Palace fan base wouldn't want him. They would sooner have they'd sooner have Sean Dyche over Eddie Howe, even though Eddie Howe's probably been the more successful out of the two. Interested you alluded to Eddie Howe.
Have you guys got any more transfer targets for the summer, or are you guys done for now in terms of business?
Ben Rama from Brentford. Now, poor little Brentford. They just got promoted, and they're doing really well. They've got their own new stadium. They've just lost. The one that we did want was Ollie Watkins. Okay, well he's just signed for massive money that Palace couldn't compete with to Aston Villa. So we've lost that target. But behind on the wing and a potential Zaha replacement, because we haven't touched on the Zaha scenario yet. is Ben Rama from Brentford. Again, a very good attacking wide man, young player. Again, to bring down that average age of our squad, which is what we need. That's going to be an ongoing project over the next 2 or 3 transfer windows to bring that age of that squad out. Get rid of some of the dead wood like the Benteke's, get rid of Wickham's. Yeah, these guys are on massive contracts. There's another player we haven't even touched on yet, Max Meyer, German player.
Oh, yeah, him.
A talent. But he just, under Roy's negative system, and you've just touched on it, he can't break into our first team. He's made loads of sub appearances. He was supposed to be the Johan Cabaye replacement. It didn't work because of Roy's system. Because he plays with a bank of 3 defensive midfielders with Luka Milivojevic, who had a poor season last year, as one of them. It's just where we are. Interesting times, but we are in a transition period where we need to reduce our average age of our squad, and we've started the process. But Ben Rama from Brentford is in answer to your question.
Yeah, so touching on Wilfred Zaha, just before we go to the score predictions, what do you think is going to happen to him? Because I feel like he's like a Jack Grealish, where if he leaves Palace, you guys are probably going to move down 5 or 6 positions. You'll be fighting for relegation. What's the news about Wilfred Zaha? Because I'm surprised he's even been there for so long.
Right. So Wilfred Zaha, number 1, is still under contract. He's still got 4 years left on his current deal. Okay. Wow. Number 2, don't forget he's now 27, 28, and if you don't do it now, he ain't never going to do it. Okay. If he doesn't go to a top 6 club or a top European club now, it ain't never going to happen. Palace have really stuck to their guns and said, this is the money that we want for him. Don't come in like Arsenal did last year and offer something, a derisory offer of 40 million quid. Do one, because they're not interested. They don't have to sell him. They're not financially strapped where we've got to sell him, because we don't. Okay, we're quite happy to keep him there. Okay, if no club comes in with the right money. For his benefit, now again, you've got to understand, like the Wan-Bissaka scenario, he's a guy, he's a talent that's come through our academy. We've had him since he was 10 years old. Apart from the 12 to 18 months he was at Man United, he's been with us throughout his entire career. He's got to go and fulfil his potential elsewhere. To the point where, do you know what? He had a poor season last season because he wanted to go. He wanted the Arsenal move to happen, but Arsenal didn't offer that money. Palace are holding out for 70 million for him. Don't forget, Man United fans, listen to this in case you didn't know. 25% of anything we get for Wilf Zaha goes straight in your pockets.
Wow.
Goes straight in your pockets. Palace aren't going to get 70 million for him. Okay, if somebody came and offered him 70 million, 20 million of that, or 18 million of that, he's coming straight to Man United.
Wow.
Straight to Man United. You did a very good thing. You sold him back to us cheaply, and we got a really good deal. But what you did do correctly is you put on a sell-on clause in his contract. Okay, and I can't remember exactly whether it's 20 or 25%. I believe it's 25% of any future sell-on goes straight to Man United. And
25%.
And in my honest opinion, if Wilfred Zaha does not go in this transfer window, he never will go, and therefore Man United will get 25% of nothing because he will see out his contract for the rest of his life at Selhurst Park, and Man United will get nothing out of it. So for your benefit, I should think all Man United fans are hoping that Palace sell him in this window, because if he doesn't go in this window, he'll never go.
Yeah, I think what will probably happen is he'll probably go to Dortmund as a replacement for Sancho. But I feel like obviously with a lot of the deals, it's like with big money, everyone starts haggling or whatever. So I just wanted to touch just before we go on your predictions, your score predictions for the game. You sound very, very confident sitting there. Is that Old Trafford, right?
Is that Old Trafford? Now, don't forget, in the corresponding fixture this time last season, thanks to Patrick Van Aanholt and Jordan Ayew walking through the middle of your defence, okay, Palace actually came out of there with a victory. Now, we've already had a game, don't forget, at Southampton, so we're one game ahead of Man United. This is Man United's first game of the season. If, as a Palace supporter, we have an opportunity, it's this time now, because it's going to catch you guys cold. Okay, that's what we're hoping for. That's the only way we're going to get a result out of this. Our injury list is massive. Okay, is absolutely huge. So if we're going to catch you guys cold, that's how we're going to get a result at Man United. Personally, I don't think we will. We're gonna start the season how we finished last season with a few defeats, okay, until our injury list picks up, and I believe Man United will turn us over probably 2-0 at Old Trafford.
Okay, very, very, very good, interesting scoreline. I'm gonna go for 3-1. I think Eze will score at Old Trafford. Debut goal, not debut, but obviously the debut after the debut.
Yeah.
And I feel like obviously I think every one of our front three will score. Rashford, Martial, and Greenwood. I think the three of them will fire this season. So I think it's gonna be a very good match. It's gonna be an interesting match. Two contrasting styles. I feel like you lot will sit back and hope for the best and whatnot. Try and beat us on the counter attack. But I feel like we'll try and go gung ho and try and attack you from the start. But yeah, thank you very much. Honestly, Phil, Nick, sorry, I keep calling you Phil because of Phil Pot.
Yeah.
Honestly, Nick, I think you've probably been one of the best guests I've ever had on this channel, and you're so real. You're passionate about Palace, and I really appreciate you coming on. Just want to talk about what you do as a Palace fan, and show the people why you're from the Red and Blue Review.
Okay, so the Red and Blue Review is a splinter from the Red and Blue News Facebook page. Red and Blue News is the visual channel. Okay, so we carry out a live show 8 o'clock every Sunday. All you got to do is visit redandbluereview.co.uk, and then all the links are in there. You don't have to be a member, you don't have to be a register or anything like that. You can pop on and see us, and even interact with us as away fans. Post the game on Saturday against Man United. Jump on there. We have a panel of very experienced Crystal Palace fans.
I might be there. You never know.
Well, jump on, because if you do jump on, we have the capability to actually bring you on live, absolutely live. So feel free to jump onto the website, register. All you got to do is click the like button on there, and away you go, and you can be invited on as a guest by all means. And so we do a post-match chat. Let's do that. Okay. So we've got a panel. We'll have a panel of Palace fans, very knowledgeable, know their stuff. They're all friendly. There's no nastiness on our page. We pride ourselves out. There's quite a few Palace podcasts out there, but our tagline is, we are the only Palace podcast you can watch. That's our tagline, because we are not just on Facebook Live, we're on YouTube like yourselves. We're available on all open platforms, and it's available to anybody to watch. You don't have to be a Palace fan. It's a Palace podcast at the end of the day, but you don't have to be a Palace fan to just click the like button and in you come. And I'll send you a link, and you can come on and we'll chew the cud over the result. It'll be great to see you on there.
Yeah, I'll probably pop over there next on Saturday or Sunday. Sorry,
Sunday live at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, no, I'll probably pop. We'll probably talk during the week. But once again, thank you, Nick, honestly, for coming on. Please leave your score predictions in below in the comments. Smash a like, smash a subscribe. Go and check out their stuff. The stuff will be in the description below. You've been a fantastic guest. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Take care, guys. Thank you for having me.
All right, see you later, guys. Thank you.